things inside of it. I see somebody shaking their head. They've used it. Sonia, you've used it? Yeah. And then they used it. And now, and I know when it works, it should take those grades and put those grades into Power School when it works. You see me crossing my fingers, I'm crossing my toes too. When it works, it should transfer those things over. And so that's why a lot of times the high school and the middle school, they necessarily pick Canvas because of course it does that feature for them. All right, let's keep on keeping. Oh, yes, ma'am, Angel, I'm listening.
Well, the problem I had with Canvas is I was going to use that originally, and I started having issues. It would seem very complex for elementary students to follow with.
And it can, and it looks, but it's actually, you know, based off of Blackboard, I think. I'm pretty sure that's the one it's based off of. If I'm saying this wrong, Susie, let me know. And, you know, that's, of course, that was started for college. But, I mean, they can use it. I've seen 5th grade use it. I've seen 4th grade do it. I've seen 3rd grade use it for book studies at Page Street. So, but it is not as kid-friendly, I think, definitely. All right, so we have a list. Here's our good old list. We have Canvas there. Of course, you guys are more used to Google Classroom and Seesaw. One of the things I do want to point out right here, if you'll notice Microsoft Teams, next week we have the actual Microsoft lady. She's going to come in and do Appy Hour for us. We've got to check. I think Susie confirmed with her either she's going to do just 1 hour and have everybody, or do the 2 hours and do it separate. Susie, did we ever confirm that?
We don't have a confirmation from her yet.
Okay. But we're hoping that she will come next week and do our Appy Hour and talk about Teams, because and it'll be on this platform that we're using right now. It's just something that we want to move towards. We do have the ability to do it, so why not? And then, of course, you know, the next thing, of course, Google Documents, Microsoft Word documents, Google Slides, PowerPoints, and then, of course, last week you guys were telling me about Class Dojo. There are some others, but before we do that, I'm glad Susie put me a little note right here. Did you sign in? If you didn't sign in, go sign in right now. All right. Who needs a learning management? Susie, you want to pick up there?
Okay, so I think with this being more elementary focused, we would have more people in this group than we will in the next hour, although it doesn't matter which hour you're joining, but there's more elementary teachers that really don't use any type of learning management system. And that has made it very difficult as we've gone into remote learning. But it also helps when we're in the classroom too. And I found a neat website, I put the link there, about like who needs the learning management system. Well, it's not just for the teachers, it's also for the learners. A place where they can go and access materials, upload assignments, get evaluations, and then administrators, trainers, and teachers also need it for the things that it says there. Obviously, it says all the different things you can do. And of course, we really use a broad definition for a learning management system, because we will use it on things that aren't necessarily technically learning management systems, but we can use them for that purpose. And there are a lot of you that use several of them. And by the way, if you'll go to the 4th page, if you want to type in some little notes, it'll be on the 4th page of the document. The easiest thing is just to open it in a new tab and kind of switch back and forth. We will send it back out in an email later. So I think you've been a little bit too far. Yeah, you're just showing some collaborative doc. I started some and we can add to it. Now there's some, starting on page 2, there's some features, and there's going to be a few of them that we're not going to really consider, but there will be some where we will. Nora?
Oh, no, you're fine. I was just moving on to the 2nd page. And then these are some components of most of the learning management systems. Of course, you know, you can have a lot of things that you can have. You can learner and admins to upload. Like I said, just be thinking about Google Classroom and how we can make Google Classroom better for next year. One thing that I would like to mention about Google Classroom and how we can make it better and how we can do better next year is, of course, using it to collaborate between teachers. I know at Mount Gilead, I know Mandy Hall, whenever she started her Google Classroom, she added me and Susie just so that we could practice and we could work together. So, of course, next year we want to use those kind of tools and to work smarter, to work together and add things together. And then I think that's why she said both the learners and the admins can upload and download documents. Go ahead, Susie. I'll let you finish.
Well, and I think as you look at this, if you are going to consider which LMS you're going to use, here's some things you would want to consider. Not all of them, but some of these, like when it says multi-channel, for us, we would just have like multi-classes. Can we break it down? Can they access it from home on their, like right now, can they access it from their phone? Can they access it from their laptop? Or how about an iPad? What device? The course management is really important for the teachers for creating and uploading materials. Are you able to do that? And then Nora mentioned the document management for the learners and the administrators. Scheduling features are important. Can you put test dates in? And we're at our lower levels, some of those aren't quite as important. Like, for example, the tracking features to grade and give, return grades and give feedback. We can give feedback in any of them, but we don't necessarily have the same tracking features or the same data in all of them. Gamification, you can put gamification into yours, and then there's some other compliance and social tools that we're not as concerned with. But if you are going to create your own rubric, those are things you'd want to look at to decide which is the easiest one to use. And we'll keep going, and we'll have some recommendations for you as we keep going.
Okay, on page 3, you notice that there's lots of resources and links. One of the ones that you should have already seen, I think Mr. Grit sent this one out right here. It says how to use learning management system, Canvas, and Google Classroom. Whenever Montgomery County Schools originally was talking about, using a learning management system, those are the two that, that they've sent out there, Canvas and Google Classroom. And I've even had, a lot of people answer, but I know a lot of you do still use Seesaw, you use Class Dojo, but we tried to put, and Susie did a great job on this list, she tried to put all those different things in all those different resources in one spot. So all of those are on page 3. I do want to make sure that you take a look at those. And then there's lots of stuff about Seesaw, Microsoft Teams, how to get started. You've got Canvas, the orientation manuals. You've got all kinds of things just in one spot. And like I said, Susie did a great job getting all that together for you. And we're down to our collaborative notes. Is that where you want to go, Miss Reed? Can you hear us? All right. You with us, Susie? I think you're muted. Speaking of collaborative notes, of course, Canvas is required by several of our principals. A lot of our principals are saying next year, it's not going to be an option at the middle school and the high school level, that it is going to be a requirement that they use Canvas. Just thinking about that, you need to start talking to your principals and start talking to your instructional facilitators. What is going to be required next year? Are they going to require that we all use Google Classroom? What are they thinking that we should definitely all use? And then I see that with the Seesaw, there's some pros, there's some cons. Google Classroom, there's some pros, there's some cons. Let's think about, I want to hear from you guys, so I'm going to get off my screen because I want to hear you talking, not just us. Oh, go ahead, Susie. Yeah.
I didn't realize I was muted. I don't know. It's just, so
okay.
I was thinking that maybe we'll start with Canvas, and let's just talk about Canvas, and we can take some notes or type in it. And then we can just go through, and if you use Canvas, speak up. I know we have some high school people in here. Are there any elementary people that use Canvas at all? Angel, were you saying you did?
Well, I tried. I don't use it at this point. I ventured with it a little bit in the beginning, and I just wasn't very comfortable with it for young learners.
Is there anyone from Page Street on here that was in 3rd grade? Anybody in Page Street 3rd grade? I do remember that they successfully used it in Page Street at 3rd grade. They successfully used it with a book study. They did a book study on, I want to say it was My Best Christmas Pageant Ever. Does anybody remember that? Or am I just talking? They did a book study and a book discussion as a whole entire grade level in the 3rd grade using Canvas.
Angel.
Well, and my take on that was not that, I mean, I feel like a child could learn how to do anything if you continually work with them. I'm not saying that they can't. I just meant for the simplicity of picking it up. I felt like Google Classroom was a little bit easier for them to manage. Especially my deal with Canvas was not one activity, but if I wanted multiple activities for them to be able to navigate through that seemed a little bit challenging for them to do, especially in a remote learning situation. Of course, with anything, if they learn how to do it right off the bat, you know, when you're in school with them, of course they can take it home and do it. I don't feel like children can't learn anything. They're always capable of learning. But I feel like it on their own without a lot of support, it may be more challenging. That was my only take on that.
Yeah, and
I completely
Angela Dawkins was a 3rd grade teacher, was at Green Ridge, and she was successful in using it. But then another year she didn't use it. So it's just more difficult because your level, you definitely have to be a proficient reader, I would say, fairly proficient. I hope I have shared the LMS, the Google document. I hope that's the right one. Some of you are asking for it, so I've put that back on the side. But Canvas has a lot of features in it. It can do more than any of our other learning management systems, but we also pay for it. And it integrates with PowerSchool. Your grades can go straight, if you know how to do it, you can get your grades to go from Canvas straight into PowerSchool. And we don't have that capability with any other learning management system. Some of the schools require their teachers to use it at the secondary level. But then again, there's some teachers that use that and they use other things as well. And we can talk about why. Does anybody else want to say something else at any grade level? It doesn't have to be elementary about Canvas.
Susie, I heard something or read something the other day that Canvas was getting ready to come out of home base and that the pricing was going up. Is that true? If it is, will it still sync with PowerSchool?
I don't know.
Okay, that was a topic of conversation with a few people in tech from another district. They were saying that they were having to price it, that was going on. So I didn't know if we had heard about that.
I've not heard that. That would be a great question for Rodney.
Yep. I'm gonna make sure and make a note of that.
I believe that was Michelle Williams Gonzalez. I know she was on here earlier. I know that she originally was putting the students in Canvas and she was putting her music in there because, you know, she was at 3 different schools. Another, you know, great feature of Canvas is once you create the course, you can replicate the course and, you know, you can use the same course next year. So if you build this great and wonderful course with all these modules, you can use it again next year. That's a good thing.
I did do that. I did that and I enjoyed Canvas. It's in depth. It takes a study. But what I found at Page Street, the other teachers were not using Canvas. So the kids were not familiar with it. So one thing I've learned, I mean, I transferred over to Google Classroom because of that, because the students were familiar with it. It was user friendly and the teachers were using it. So we probably need to get on board with a whole school at doing the same MLS, but I enjoyed it.
I teach in secondary and I do use Canvas, and one of the things I like about it is you can give feedback to your kids on it also, and even like when you're going to grade, not necessarily, and it connects. You can even send them like emails from the Canvas too. So that helps with your communication with the students. And there's modules that you can do so that they, like I heard somebody saying, you know, because they had several steps to go through. So you can do that. And I think that my students, I'm teaching secondary, and I think that they like having the calendar, because they can go to the calendar and click on the links and pretty much see everything that they have to do to complete certain things. Of course, in the classroom, we have other things that we add in. But I like to use it a lot being secondary also for a graduation focus, because when they go to college, they've got to be able to use a similar kind of system, whether it's Canvas or Blackboard. So I think them getting used to submitting assignments on Canvas helps them with that. So I think that's why it's a good focus for us as secondary, to help, not necessarily just as a learning management for us, but it also helps them later in life.
And some of our universities are going from changing from Blackboard to Canvas. I know East Carolina is, and somebody, I can't remember, it was Appalachian or one of the others. So
And I
Canberra
think
uses Canvas.
it too.
Mandy, what were you saying?
The UNCP uses Canvas.
So, and I will say another good thing about Canvas is you can really super organize with Canvas. You know, organize your courses. But anyway, that's really good feedback. Well, why don't we talk about Google Classroom next? So share what you like about it. We'll talk about the pros and cons. Yes.
Okay, one thing I just would like to share, I'm definitely going to add it on next year, is an extension for Chrome that's called Mote, M-O-T-E. It allows me to leave 60-second or less audio recordings in any of the comment sections in Google Classroom, or on any document that's a Google document where you can add comments. That's helped me a lot with giving instructions remotely with students, especially those that have difficulty with reading skills and in third grade. A lot of our students struggle with being able to read complex text, especially when it comes to instructions. It's nice to be able to just drop an audio in there, telling them where to go, what to do.
Thank you for sharing that. Can you put that in our shared document today, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, that is the really good thing about Google Classroom. There are so many Google Apps for Education started for Education First, and there's just so many great extensions and things that are now, what is the word I'm trying to use, y'all? Integrate with Google Classroom. Make it easy.
Susie, I like Google Classroom because I can add other teachers to my pages, and we can collaborate, and they can post assignments, which makes, life easier.
Typing that in. Did any of y'all use it to grade your assignments?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
And we can give immediate feedback to the students, and if they have something that needs to be modified, they can fix it and then send it back to us. So it allows that as well.
One particular thing I really like about Google Classroom is being able, like she was talking about, to look at their assignments. People say that you can't see it till they turn it in, but it's not true. You can check their work as they go and start leaving comments. That helps them and guides them in their work, which I think is one of the most powerful points of feedback, is the timeliness. If we wait till a student is done with a concept or a task to give feedback, it is somewhat helpful. But if we can give feedback during the middle of that task while they're completing it, the feedback is much more meaningful. And in Google Classroom, I'm able to do that as they're working there, again, because it does integrate with Google, and I can access their documents and leave comments to assist them in the completion of that.
That's great. That's true. And one thing I know that I don't know, I think it's a little bit harder to organize your page, but I recently did a little a mini class and took it through, and it was all about how you can organize your Google Classroom to work better for you. And there are so many free. I've got some links on there, but like some of the people that provide that to Bell, Matt Miller, and there's one more I just can't think of right now, but they are really like Google gurus, and they can give you tips on how to organize your classrooms. And then you can copy and reuse your classes too, similar to Canvas. But you can't put those grades straight in to PowerSchool.
Susie,
Yes.
one of the things that I like that Lisa Green or Wood had touched on was she had said that since we're co-collaborators on each other's classrooms, so if I wanted to post a question in her math class and in my math class, it actually allows me an option to post in both classrooms and also to schedule those announcements and those questions, which is great because now that we're at home, I could sit down and do an entire week's worth of lessons and have them scheduled and wouldn't have to worry about that for later on.
That's true. Yep. I'll tell you something. It's really great when you're absent too, because I think y'all were talking about how you can see what they're doing. If you have to be out, you can like check up and see what that kid's doing, if they're doing the work or not. But yeah, it is good with the collaboration.
Angel, I saw your hand raised.
One other thing I did, and I've been doing it this week, and it's been highly effective. We've been using Google Meet, and I'm able to turn that camera off when we are not in a meeting, so students cannot rejoin behind my back. But I have been doing guided math and guided reading this week, and what I do is I schedule an assignment that has that link in it, and it will not appear until 5 minutes before I have that meeting, like it's at 10 o'clock, so I schedule it for 9:55 a.m. And I include in there the Jamboard that we are going to share, and I include the link to the Meet. And that has been very effective for me in helping students.
Does anyone else have something about Google Classroom that they would really like to share? A success or a challenge, something that we can help you with? And
while you're thinking, I'll also say the cool thing is the in your Google Drive, you have a Google Classroom Drive where you can see assignments and get to them. You don't have to search all over if you share them through there. Angel?
I had one other thing that when you said that, a lot of teachers have complained, and I have too, that there's so much stuff in Google Classroom once you assign it, but you don't want to get rid of it because you might still be grading it or letting other students turn in late. Once you are done and you don't want them to see it, but you don't want to lose access, you can delete the assignment. Google has changed, and you used to lose all the files. The files are still in the Classroom Drive, but the assignment is deleted from the view of the classroom. So you really don't lose it. You just don't access it through Google Classroom anymore. I think a lot of teachers don't understand that, so they're afraid to delete old assignments if they want to go back and reuse them or see them again. But they're not lost. They're not gone. They're just in your drive.
Which, of course, is the other beauty of Google Drive, is everything's saved. I mean, that's why some schools love Chromebooks. The kids don't remember to save. Everything's just saved. And we don't know, and I mean, I don't know a lot about it yet, but I will tell y'all that the Microsoft Teams is, to me, it's sort of like Google Classroom but by Microsoft. And so that'll be something, some people might want to look at down the line, and we're going to have some training next week. It's good to know about it, because the one thing about it is that it will sync. We'll get our class rosters. Help me out here, Nora. Our class rosters will come from PowerSchool into that.
yeah,
Right?
Rodney's already set up a sync so that your Microsoft Teams should already, all the students that are in your current classroom through PowerSchool should already be set up in a team for you. He's already done that for us. So that's why, we're kind of pushing this Teams. But I understand without your students being right in front of you, it's kind of hard to use, and we understand that. But it's just something to think about for next year. That's why we wanted to do this meeting, so you see it, you kind of get an idea of what it looks like, the features that are available. We can actually go there next if you would like, Susie. You want to start talking about Microsoft Teams? I want you to. Is that okay?
Nora, can I say a challenge?
Sure,
Yes.
go ahead. Sure, go ahead.
I teach second grade, and because our students don't have their own devices,
it's such a pain for them to log in, and then, you know, the next kid has to log in. So that's a challenge with, you know, 21 kids and 12 devices. Do you have any suggestions to?
Pam, a little birdie told me, now I don't know how true this is, and like, is there anybody from the county office on here? I don't know, but a little birdie told me that we might all be 1-to-1 next year. But don't you hold me to that. Don't hold me to
I
that.
hope that little birdie's correct.
Don't hold me to that. And if you got somebody from the county office on here, I never said that, but I know that they are talking about how to get everybody to be back to 1-to-1, because they understand that, you know, and I think it was just a matter of funding. I don't know, our technology department, Rodney and them, they were working really, really hard, and they're trying, Pam. And I've heard that they're trying to get you guys back to 1-to-1. Is anybody on the county office like to speak about that? Anybody with us? I thought I saw Miss Spell on there.
I'm on here, but I can't speak to it.
Yeah, I've heard that they're trying. That's what I've heard.
Yeah, with some of the CARES funding from the CARES Act stuff from the COVID, but not clear yet. Yeah.
Angel, what were you going to say?
I was just going to say that was another feature I liked about the Google Classroom, is because it's Google and it integrates. It's a lot easier for my students to log in. I understand Ms. Hammer's concern with the second grade using not being 1-to-1. That's totally different. But for my students, it's a lot easier for them to get logged in and stay logged in on that.
And my suggestion, like, if you're a Google Classroom user, but you're interested in like seeing what Teams is about, I mean, you know, you can't use but so many things, but Teams would be really good for your PLCs and things like that to start with. And I know some schools have already done it, but to get to see what it's like and to feel it, it saves things, you know, through SharePoint or OneDrive. And that might be a good way. But we're going to have the lady direct from Microsoft with us next week, and we can ask her every question we want to. So.
And one of the things I want to ask her about next week is I want to ask her about, you know, we do like that feature of Zoom that you can see everybody's face. Right now, I can only see 4 of you. And that's one of the things that I'm going to do. I know that was one of the concerns that Ms. Spell had. You know, I like to see all their faces and make sure they're all paying attention and making sure they're on task, you know. But I do like, and if you paid attention to like the right side of your screen today, especially if you've never been on here before, please take a look at like activities and chat and team and assignments and calendars and files. Just take a look at it while you're on here with us. I just want you to see what's there. And then if you'll see over there on the side too, and I know she's going to go through it more, there's the little ... You can add more apps to it. I do think that once we got used to it, it would be something that we like.
Something I would like to know about Teams is, does it like require less upload speed? Because I use a jetpack. I don't have like true internet. And so Zoom is constantly dropping me and adding me back, dropping me and adding me back. And so for Teams and this many people on, it hasn't been that bad.
That was one of the things that Rodney brought up to us. He was saying like the sound quality and the video quality on Teams should be better for us than on Zoom.
But everybody said the same about Google Meet. Yeah, that's better too. Angel.
Yeah, I've had more luck with not losing drop students with Google Meet, and I've done better today. Actually, the Microsoft Teams is quite as good for me as the Google Meet. I have sketchy internet too, so I understand.
All right, is there anything additional we want to add about Google Classroom? If not, we can move on to, you want to move on to Seesaw and how people are using that as a learning management system, Susie?
Yes, because y'all know I do love my Seesaw. And I like it for all grade levels, but it's very good because you don't have to have 1-to-1 devices. So it's great if you do, but if you don't, if you have to have shared devices, your students can still log in, pick their own little avatar and go onto their, their work, their class stream. It populates invitation letters to parents in Spanish or English. It also has like a blog version that your kids can get on. It's a portfolio, and it's got now the library in Seesaw has grown tremendously, where you can find lessons that you don't have to make them, or you can take a pre-made lesson and you can customize it for your class. And you know, we all have kind of similar standards, but it's also all the way up the grade level is easy. In fact, it's so easy that I think as teachers, a lot of times we overthink how to use it, where children go, oh yeah, I got to click the green check mark. And if it is so, if I were going to be especially a K2 teacher, but I would probably use Seesaw in addition to even Canvas, I would have kids do stuff to it because it's the easiest one to like share videos through. It's the easiest one to add pictures in it, to add PDFs and all that just from a screen and click. Little kids, they can use their touch screen. They can bend their tablets, their computers back and make it be like a tablet. They can draw, they can write. That is the harder thing for us without touch screen. But it's just, like I said, I've had high school people who wanted their kids to explain science or show and explain. And it's easier as Seesaw than anything else. You don't have to worry about what kind of recorder you're using or anything like that. The kid can show their work or take a picture of it. They can do a voiceover, and they can even do a screencast from it. So it's really easy for the teacher, but also easy for the student to give back.
I
Susie.
would love to say that I am a newcomer to Seesaw, and I love the simplicity of it. My students who have gone on along with their parents, it has been really simple for them to share their work and for them to access the work that I assign to them. So I really like the simplicity of it, and especially for the first graders, you know, for them to be able to, they manage it quite well, you know. And as I go through and get more familiar with it, it doesn't take a long time for you to get familiar with it at all, you know. And so, and as you said, the library is very helpful. My only challenge that I have so far, and I guess is because I don't have the paid version, is that when I assign repeat assignments, I have to do it each day. Whereas if you have the paid version, you can schedule the assignments. So would be able to put in the dates, and it would repeat on those dates for the students. But right now, I have to keep doing the assignments every evening so that they have the same assignment the next day.
And are you familiar with the calendar where you can go click and see what was assigned on what day and then who's done their work?
Well, I can actually there is a section there for notifications that it shows you, it shows you who has submitted work, when they submitted it. So you can actually keep track of that. But yeah. I noticed the calendar feature, but when I tried to do that part of it, I was not successful. But it tells you that you would have had to pay for that to be able to use that. I don't know how true.
There is Seesaw for Schools, which is a paid version, and it includes a few more features. And also that includes like some special tracking and evaluation, but almost everything else you can do in the free version. So yeah, it's not as schedule friendly as the other ones, but as far as the ease of use, it is. And, you know, you control what parents see and what they can say back. So
hey, Susie,
yeah.
I like it now because you can schedule it. The one I'm doing is the remote learning part. You can schedule it ahead. I can link it to Google Docs and put videos in. And also you can now send it back to them and have them fix something that they may have messed up.
Right. So they can edit it afterwards.
Right, before you approve it, you can send it back to them, and of course, you can do the comment section too.
Huh? Yes.
I noticed that I've had a lot more success with my first graders with Seesaw, just because they can upload videos of themselves reading, and they love seeing that. They love seeing themselves on the screen. So I've had a lot more interaction with my first graders doing Seesaw than I really have anything else.
And you can link to, if you want them to do ABC or something else, you can put that link into Seesaw for them to click on and take it to them to somewhere else, you know.
Susie, I like using Seesaw for them to upload their work, and then I have my students give positive feedback, you know, on the work that the other students in the classroom are doing.
Nice. I like that. And if you want kids to have to handwrite it, they can take a picture of it in Seesaw.
Yeah.
And send you the picture, you know, or if it's, you know, so many math problems and you want to show the work, they can take a picture. I mean, the great thing about it is even when you're in class, they can take a picture, then they can record over and explain it to you. Because it's what it's about. They understand they're getting their learning.
Yes, I like that.
I like using it for Freyer maps.
Oh, gosh, yes. If, you know, going forward, because we never know. If we start back to school regular next year and then we end up in this same position again, we just don't know. As a K2 especially, but as any teacher, I would have a learning management system in place, starting at the beginning, that my kids were used to getting. They don't have to get all their assignments on it, but give them some assignments on it every day so they start getting used to using it. Then if we're in this position again, we won't be in this same, you know, we'll be even better off. I think we're ahead of many, many, many districts, but especially for our elementary, this will help us greatly.
Yeah.
Again, it's so easy in Seesaw to sign in.
Yeah.
Does anyone else have any success stories with Seesaw or challenges that you would like for us to discuss?
No.
I did want to say that the other day I had three little girls on Seesaw who collaborated on a picture together. They were able to work together and make a "I miss you, Mr. Manus," and all three of them signed it. I think that's pretty neat.
That is neat. Cool.
For me, Seesaw, you can also invite a teacher to collaborate with you. And you can also view the activity section to see how many students turn in their assignments. So I think that's very cool.
Somebody's.
The next thing that was up for discussion, we were going to talk about Google Slides, Google Docs. Some teachers are using just those items as their learning management system. I know there's one particular teacher at the high school, and he uses a Google Doc. He just has one running Google Doc that he puts everything on. I think he may have even made a QR code with the link for that Google Doc, and then he just puts every single thing on that Google Doc. Now, I will say that it's not as collaborative, like, you know, he doesn't allow the students to interact and put things back and forth, so there's no interaction. But, you know, hey, it's a place to start. I know that some teachers, you know, use, of course, Google Slides, and they'll have a different slide for each student to respond on. It's not really a learning management system, but it is a start to this process. Has anyone used any of those kind of things? You know, Google Docs, Google Slides, any of those Google things, you know, just to get different responses from students? I know that we had that in our list for next. Has anyone had any success with that or something?
I have. Can I go ahead, Nora? Okay. I used, to begin with, it was still through Google Classroom, but on the Google Doc, there is actually quite a bit of room for collaboration. We use the chat box feature on the side and comments. We use both of those. And they actually, I could write to them. I just start typing right beside them, and correct their thinking as I saw them working. And then when they corrected it, I just delete the text I'd put in there. So I was actually able to do some almost live collaboration on a Google Doc. And on Google Slides, it kind of works the same way. You can add comments, you can use the chat box.
Cool.
Which is what we're doing today.
I will say this is a tip that'll help a lot of teachers using anything Google. If you will look, when you see your share button at the top, beside it is a lightning bolt. And if you click on that lightning bolt, you can see the students who have already viewed or been on that document at any time that day or even that week.
And Google Docs, you can trace back to the little booger that did something on there he wasn't supposed to. Watch the revision history.
You'd be surprised. I really don't have a lot of students that get on there and do anything wrong on that stuff. And I mean, we have some that would definitely think that way, but they don't. I think when they get on, they're trying to get their work done so they can go on and do what they want.
Nora had shared, and me too, a neat Google slide that a teacher used for their home remote learning, you know, or even for your classroom, a PowerPoint or Google slide, like this is what we're going to do, then we're going to do this, and here's a link for this or whatever. So that's just another idea, but they all work the same kind of way with, you know, hyperlinks and directions.
I have a question. I would love to share with everybody the slides that I use, but I don't know how to do that on here. So is there anything?
Can you go up to the
document?
Yeah, can you go up to the document and then push share and then make it to where anybody can view it? And then either to put the link in the chat or put it on our document, either one.
Got it. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing. I appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am.
I think, did anyone else have anything to add about Google Docs or Google Slides? Okay, I think the next thing that we were talking about Class Dojo, and I know Class Dojo has added some new features. I know that a lot of you were talking in our last meeting about that, but how are you using that as a learning management system? What are the success? What are some things that we can talk about that we need to improve or we need to help you with? And all right, and go.
That's Pam.
So anybody out there using it?
I know people use it, but since I've never used it, I can't wrap my brain around why you would use that. I understand it's for management, but people use it, I mean, for classroom, like discipline management. But from an LMS standpoint, I'm just wondering, is it as good as Seesaw? Because people tend to want to use that instead of Seesaw. So some of you maybe can answer to that.
At Mount Gilead second grade, Jennifer and I both use Class Dojo, and we like it. We're able to, the kids can post things to us in the portfolio. It doesn't allow you to do the annotations and things and the videos, but the kids can take pictures, they can video, they can type. In the class story is where we post all of our Zoom links, PowerPoints, PDFs, and we I mean, it does almost everything Seesaw does, but we do use it for PBIS when we're in the classroom. We do our brag tag through that and just our daily points for different things. Parents have been using it and they can see everything. They get on there daily and see their kids' points and comment on things when we're in the class. But we've had really good luck with Seesaw, and we stuck with that because that's what our kids have been using, and we didn't want to really go to Seesaw, so we stuck with Dojo.
Pam, I think that that's an excellent point. You know, whatever you were using, keep on using it. I know that some parents have gotten extremely frustrated, you know, that we flipped the script on them, you know, and gave them something new. But if they've already known how to use it, and, you know, knowing that information starting next year is going to be very, very helpful to us, you know. But yeah, I appreciate you sharing. Now, let me ask you this. On Class Dojo, can they see other people's work? Because I know on Seesaw, the new distant learning feature, they can only see their own.
They cannot. And Jennifer and I can post on each other's because we've joined each other's classes. We have Sloan on there and Ricky also, who they could put stuff as well. But only the teacher of that class, whoever's assigned as co-teachers, can see what the others are doing. So parents, it's very confidential.
Excellent. And so there's a streaming kind of board, right? There's like a, can you just discuss it just a little bit for people that may not know?
So on Class Dojo, the parents can get in through the app, which they all have, but then we gave the kids a QR code. They can log in as a different user, and then they can post in the portfolio. They can view everything that we have. We send them information back. We approve each portfolio item, and we can comment on it. Throughout the school year, we used this in our Fluency Center, where the kids would read aloud, and it works with them sharing devices. We'd have like 4 devices set up in that center, and they would just log on, find their name, scan the QR code, and they would read their books aloud or poems or whatever we had, and then they play it back, and when they like it, they can turn it in, and then we approve it. So it's time consuming when you have a whole bunch to approve, but if you keep up with it daily, it's manageable.
Nora, I like using Class Dojo to keep parents involved, because a student may be saying, yes, I'm doing my work remotely. They're really not. So I'm posting the assignments each day on Class Dojo as well as Google Classroom. So the parents are able to see, hey, did you do this assignment? Did you not? And also I can send them messages to let them know, your child needs to work on this and that. But we can post pictures and videos, and the parent has access to it. So we have more, parent buy-in.
And I think that that's extremely helpful, Lisa. I was just sitting here looking at this one sitting here beside of me doing her work, and it would be nice to know that. I'm just saying. Yeah, I think that's great.
So for those of you who use Class Dojo, do you think you would use that and say Seesaw if you're K2?
I wouldn't see the need to use both because they do the same thing, almost identical.
Are there lessons in a lesson library in Dojo?
No, that they don't have. But we can add our things on there. You could add Google Slides, you could add PowerPoints. So I would be interested in, if one-to-one using Google Classroom more than Seesaw.
Miss Reed, I actually use both Class Dojo and Seesaw for my first graders.
Okay.
So how do you do that, Lauren? How do you incorporate both?
Seesaw, I do more of the activities that are already built into their portfolios and assign them to them based on the standards that we're teaching. And in Class Dojo right now is where I'm doing my video lessons because it has a 3-minute longer time limit than Seesaw does right now.
Noran, you can upload from Google Docs your videos that's more than 5 minutes. And I've been putting the link on there for my parents and my kids so they can do the same thing that I have done in Seesaw. They can also link it to that so they can do both.
If you guys happen to come to that meeting next week, I know that was one of the things that lady mentioned about this Microsoft Teams. She was talking about the recording features that it has within it and that they'll automatically save those videos. So it's my understanding, and Susie and Ms. Bell may want to jump in on this, that Teams will save your videos. Like you don't have to put them in YouTube. You don't have to put them in, they'll automatically save them for them. So next week, that's one of the things that I want to talk to that lady about whenever we meet with her next week. It has, Ms. Sparks, it has some recording features within Teams already, which is kind of cool.
I'd like to say something right quick about Dojo. Some of the other benefits is you can message all the parents all at one time as a message, not just add to the class story. And I don't know if Ms. Hamrick knows it, but you can comment on the student work So you
Oh,
can
yeah.
still give feedback to those students.
Yes, I
There's a
see that,
place
yeah.
below it for comments. I had to do that because I started out with Dojo, just because I already had all my parents on. I was communicating with parents more so than children, and then switched to the Google Classroom full blown. My students had experience with both.
Yeah, I've had several teachers want to do Google Classroom with not having the one-to-one, and it's not an easy thing for young kids to do, to, and their parents even, to log out of Google and go into another Google. And so, anyway, that's the beauty of the Seesaw. Well, thank you all.
I just want to remind you that today, of course, all this is in the notes for today. And please, 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 if you have not already, go right here where it says roll call and sign in for today. If you don't go ahead and do that, then we won't know that you came. And of course, right here is the form. Just please make sure that you sign in for today, so that we have a record of that and we can send it to Felicia so that you can get credit for being with us. And if you think of something, I know we're going to have to move on to the secondary teachers in like 4 minutes, but if you think of something that you didn't mention today or you want to add, please go ahead and go to page 4 and add anything that you would like.
Please do. Yep, add to it.
Thank you, guys. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you all. And I'll get the links. I forgot about it last week, but I'll get the links to the recordings up. So at least if you want to go back over something, you can.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you for your participation.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Nora, I'm going to stop. I hope I can stop and restart this recording. I'm going to try it. So we'll see. If not, we won't have it.
Oh, that's fine.
Did it stop? It's just temporarily stopped. Oh, okay. Well.
Hey, Susie, it's Carla Miller.